Hello, Ryan. It is a pleasure to see you again. Long time no see. We've missed you on campus, and we're honored to have you back and sharing your experience with us as we celebrate Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month, and just to learn about you. And please start off with just telling us about you and how you identify.
Yeah, for first of all, the pleasure is all mine. Anytime I can help out. Um, so to answer the question directly, it made me who I am, right? Um, being Dominican, it's being Dominican is a combination of being passionate, right? It's a combination of being prideful, confident, right? Having that ability or that mentality where, like, the chances of another individual outworking you, it's sort of is very little, right? That is what made me who I am, right? So that sort of is I carry that. That's sort of my identity, and I also carry that in the professional workforce because no matter if I go in the professional workforce or I leave the professional workforce and outside, right? That's still the same person, the same characteristics that are in me. So that all those things that I described is basically what I am and who made me, excuse me, and what made me the way I am, to answer that question.
Awesome. So tell us, what's your relationship to Suffolk University?
Ooh, interesting. I
I know.
graduated at Suffolk, I believe it was, yes, wow, I can't believe I'm saying this. In 2022. I was the first official graduating class that left the pandemic. Excuse me, that had the first ceremony since the pandemic. So I consider myself special in that sense. I was the first one there. I did 4 years at college. My major was marketing with a concentration in sports. I was with Suffolk all my 4 years. Had, different experience than what most individuals would call a college experience, but that's just because of the pandemic. Nothing anybody can do on that.
Absolutely. There's no denying that identity impacts one's professional life. How have aspects of your identity impacted your career?
Yeah, just going off of the part from earlier, I mean, it's what made me who I am, right? I mean, there's those characteristics are like instilled in me, so it's very difficult for me to like have a conversation with one person and act completely different with another one or someone else, right? Doesn't matter if it's in the work environment, outside the work environment, or on vacation. Those are the things that, made me who I am. And with respect to the identity, I mean, it's the thing that sort of keeps me going, right? Understanding and knowing that, once upon a time I was sort of here, where the camera is like sort of here, and then eventually moving up. That's what eventually, that's what continues in my mind to keep me pushing forward and forward, just because the fact that I grew up with nothing, and the possibility and the thought and the smell of getting somewhere is sort of those things that my identity helps me to continue to push forward.
Like that. What importance does the term Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month mean to you? And what significance would you say you place on Heritage Month, on the Heritage Month?
Yeah. So to be 100% honest with you, I became familiar with that term probably in high school. I became familiar with that term in the middle of my high school, right? It was something that I heard, right? It was a Hispanic Heritage Month, right? I was like, oh, okay, right? I didn't really understand like what was going on. I didn't understand if it was something like political society was trying to push on, whatever the case may be. Like I really didn't understand that, right? As I continued to, go forward with life, I started to understand it a little bit more. And to answer that question, how it impacts me and what does the significance mean to me, it gives me an opportunity to educate others of our history, our roots, how and when we got where we are, and how can we go forward from this. So the fact that we have sort of a month to celebrate, all of the Latino community, I think is really, really amazing, really awesome. But like someone like it was a phrase like they said it back then when I was in when I was in school. how come teachers have how come there's a day where there's Teachers Day? Well, kids have kids every day, right? So it brings me back to this where, just because we have a month to celebrate Latino heritage doesn't mean that it shouldn't happen every single day for all heritages across the world, whether it's African American community, whether it's Asian community, Latino, you name it, right? It's something that we should incorporate or something that we should be prideful every single day in our lives.
Absolutely, I agree with that. How has your racial and cultural identity empowered you? And I know you mentioned this earlier, but if you'd like to add to it, how has it empowered you in your line of work?
It empowered me because because I'm from the Dominican Republic, right? It gives me a different perspective. What I mean by this is that I'm the youngest in my family, the youngest of 18 grandkids. So having this influx of generation, excuse me, it gives you a different perspective. What do I mean? In the professional world, many times our our direct managers often tell us to do something, right? Whether we agree with it or not, they tell us to do something, right? It gives me a different perspective because they may be telling you to do something because A, they want to see how you react to it. B, they might be telling you that out of respect because they know that you'll get that item or that thing done the way it's supposed to be done. But also C, it's also a different way of you understanding the situation. What I mean by that is because of my identity allows me to see things in a different perspective, I can easily switch what would a typical individual in corporate America would think compared to what somebody in my family or somebody of the Latino Dominican background would think of this situation. So having that sort of mindset empowers me in the sense where I'm able to navigate situations a lot much more easier and less personal and more understandable and more comprehensive and understanding. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I know that your career journey is only just beginning.
Right.
However, I am curious, what's your biggest success story? Because I know, like, just knowing you and the time that you spent on campus, I know that there's going to be so many success stories, but is there any success story to date that you would like to share?
The biggest, I would probably say, is just the fact that I've been here working my behind since I was 6 years old. That would probably be the cherry on the top, right? I've been working since I was 6 years old at my family's business. So, when I was six, I started working there. What that would mean was that, for example, after school, I would take the school bus and I would go straight to there, right? On weekends, I would literally go straight to there, right? Then we advanced to when I'm in high school. When I'm in high school, I would still spend summers and still spend weekends over there because, again, that was sort of our only way to eat and put food on the table. When it comes to high school, because we were in Jamaica Plain and things were gentrified, starting to become gentrified, excuse me, we had no choice but to leave. So because I had to again find a way to, you know, put food in my stomach and help my people, I had to pivot. So I had an internship where I was in the hospitality industry, and I spent literally my entire high school career working there. So I did 4 years, literally Monday through Friday school, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, excuse me, no, Saturday, Sunday working. And it was just 7 days a week. I was continuously busy, busy. Then comes the mid sophomore year of my college, university, pandemic hits. So the hospitality industry wipes out, right? It's completely washed away. So what do? I literally have to, again, because I'm in the university and because I'm paying bills, I have to pivot. I turn to what's going on in the environment, what's available. That's where Amazon comes in. So I went into Amazon. Within the 2 years, I moved up the chains, became a supervisor towards the end of my time, right? That would probably be the biggest story because since I started at such a young age, all those experience just literally started to accumulate. It's like you grabbing a cookie, excuse me, it's like grabbing a cookie and just, dropping it there and there. And little by little, the crumbs just start to pile up and pile up. So to answer that question directly, I think the biggest success story would be me starting to work at a very young age.
Appreciate that. What are some changes that you would hope to see in your industry, in your workplace, in terms of improving the work experience or representation of folks who identify as Hispanic or Latinx?
Two words. Respect and consideration, I would probably say. More respect and more consideration, right? More respect because just in terms of the Latino community as a whole, a high percentage of the Latino community, because of whether it's language barriers, documentation barriers, right? A good amount of them are in the janitor or the cleaning services, excuse me. So that's usually where a good amount of us individuals go, right? And because that's one of the first and only opportunities that we can find, sometimes within the community, when society, excuse me, not a lot of respect is given with those to those individuals, just because of the fact that it's something that they don't consider, something that they just don't think about, right? That's something that I would like to see change for the most part, because I'm not sure about yourself, Adi, but if you go into a public restroom and you see that it's dirty or not, or whatever the case may be, you're gonna walk away, or you're not even gonna use that at all. So I would probably say that. And I think more considerations in the sense that if individuals took the time to understand our history and where we come from, and understand that we literally we would it's the bottom line for us. You need this done, fine, we'll get it done. You need this done, fine, we'll get that done, right? More consideration in the sense that lots of individuals have had to battle so many adversities that if we was given, this platform and this opportunity, we could get it done. It may take a while, it may take longer than usual, but the chances of individuals finding it, if the chances of an individual getting it done is really high, because you're giving us an opportunity to better improve ourselves and our family. And at the end of the day, that is what really matters in the Latino community. It's finding a way to put food on your table, a roof on your head, and taking care of your family.
Appreciate that. Reflecting on your career so far and everything that you've done, especially having this long work experience, who or what has been the most helpful in your professional success?
That would be the amount of individuals that I met throughout my journey. There are so many individuals that I met, right? I can start off from the top, which was the assistant general manager whom I met at the time of my internship. She was probably the one that sort of, like, I would probably say, dropped the seed in me along with others, but like starting with her, I would probably say would be one individual, because she would always tell me that every employee is expendable. What one person can do, another person can do. And I always looked at it as like, oh, really? I'm going to show you that what this person can do, oh, excuse me, what I can do, that person can do. So I've always took that as in all my experience going forward, because I've always tried to find value in whatever niche or whatever industry that I'm in, right? How can I provide to the team, right? It's sort of like this figure of speech, right? If you don't put food on the table, don't expect a seat. If you don't bring something to your team, don't expect to be in those team meetings, or don't expect, don't expect that type of situation. So that would probably be the most helpful, I would probably say, because I've learned lots from that individual, and I've learned lots of things that I still carry to this day from that experience, I would probably say.
Appreciate that again. How has social capital, um, that's connections and relationships, but within and beyond the professional settings, influence your career and success?
It's helped me out tremendously. Honestly, it not only has it helped me climb the ranks in whatever field that I was or am in, but it gives me the experience to understand and hear the expectation of the higher ups, right? What I mean by that is, in my previous experiences and all the internships, I've always had a relationship with my directs boss. So for example, if I'm here and I'm reporting to my direct manager, I've always had a relationship with either two or three individuals above that. So understanding their mentality and understanding that process on how they evaluate success, what is success to them, how do they measure success, right? Understanding that mentality, that helps me do my job better, or helps me do my job the way that I do my job, because I understand lots of times where that fire or where that idea is coming from, right? So whenever I do something, I take it in, I understand where it's coming from and how they want it done, right? Just because of the fact that I had that relationship, so I'm already expecting, or I'm already anticipating what one person wants, and sort of get that done. That would probably, be one thing that I can definitely say is definitely the relationships of the higher ups. That's definitely understanding their mentality and their thought process. Definitely helps me understand and helps me navigate my daily job situation.
Cool. Can you describe at least one challenge or a setback you've experienced throughout your career journey and how you were able to bounce back or move forward from that setback or challenge?
So to answer your question directly, it would probably be, so the biggest challenge that I face in my life right now is, as I mentioned before, my degree was marketing with a concentration in sports, and now I'm in the data IT world. So basically getting a understanding, excuse me, I'm now in a world where I deal with different languages. For example, JSON, whatever, SQL, Python, whatever it is, right? I had zero knowledge of that back then. So those are some of the challenges that I get now, because now I'm in a position where, where I'm seeing this all the time, and I'm seeing this every single day. And sometimes the basic fundamentals is something that, that I could be lacking. Like something so simple, right? Lots of teachers say don't do math in pen because you can't erase it, right? That's something so super super small that has a very big impact in terms of what you do, right? So something so small like that, like don't do this and that, because this could open a world, it could open, like, a gates of different outcomes. Something so small like that could definitely impact, where I can literally type in one letter or one word, and that could completely change the outcome of what I'm trying to do. So that would probably be my biggest challenge. However, to answer that question also in a different way, I also wouldn't change that, because without those challenges, I also wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So I also take this opportunity to look at the challenges, overcome those challenges, and address those challenges. But also, I also take a look back at the other perspective of this, which is like, oh, what would be one regret? I wouldn't have one, because those events are what led me to be who I am and where I'm at right now. So that would probably be one thing. Another one would probably be that, because I've spent so much time of my life working, there has been, back then there was once upon a time where I didn't spend that much time where I could enjoy myself, right? Because I was so working continuously, right, to go through college, graduate college, whatever the case may be, right? I also didn't take that time to, just sit back and relax and, reflect, or whatever the case may be. So that would probably be one thing, but those are two things that A, I've done, and B, that that I'm continuously going on in attacking that situation every day.
That's a good perspective of life, everyone. Sort of like, at some point you gotta like think about like, okay, am I just gonna be walking and not have any fun and enjoy? With
Exactly.
the reason for this, right? But
It's like
you gotta prioritize yourself too.
it's like
Yeah.
a balance. I don't know, and this could completely change, but I don't know if you ever seen the movie Avengers, where Thanos is he's holding a knife, and he's just saying life is all about balance. Can't be too much to the left, can't be too much to the right. It has to be perfectly in the middle. And that's one thing that as a caveat, I like the Avengers movies, but that's one thing that can apply to everyday life, right? Can't be too much to the left, too much to the right, right? You can't have too much sweets, because then you got high blood pressure, whatever case may be, right? But from here and there, it won't kill you. You know what I mean? So that's something that I take with me every day going forward.
So if you could give your younger self advice, I know you're still young, but if you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
maybe take more time learning more technical skills with respect to like the IT computer science world. But again, um, I wouldn't tell him much. I would just tell him, listen, relax. You'll be fine. Continue to enjoy life, and you'll see how it's gonna work out. That's what I'll probably end up telling him. I may give him, some food or maybe a beer, but I'll continue to uh keep it pushing forward. That's the beauty of life. Sometimes not knowing how things will turn out, sometimes is what gives maybe life meaning or purpose.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you always. I appreciate your contributions to the Career Center when you were a CA, and now we just get to watch you do amazing things. So it shows
Yeah.
that you are someone who sets your mind to things and you get it done. And we are really honored that you will share your culture, your history, your heritage with us as we celebrate you and others. So thank you.
Anytime.